This is Christopher. He is 29 years old. We retired to Minnesota 8 years ago, and he had been attending ProAct Zumbrota. And so every morning at 7:30, the bus would pick up Christopher, and we would wave goodbye to him, my husband and I, and off he'd go, and he'd be home at about 2:30 in the afternoon. But during that time, those 6 hours that he was gone meant, I could go to the grocery store, we could do gardening, we actually went skiing at Welch. We could do things that were within those 6 hours. A few times I was able to organize to have helpers who would actually meet the bus, so we would have a little bit longer events, that we could have freedom. And that, it's busy. He is severely disabled, functions at about the 2-year-old range, 24/7 care, in diapers, has to be fed. He's on multiple anti-seizure meds and has intractable seizures. So when COVID hit last year, we actually had just come back from Florida, having spent a month there, and we were ready to get him back in the program. And we were excited that we were going to get our lives back and be able to do things that we could do. And that COVID changed all of that. So we kept him home. Our 2 adult daughters basically browbeat us into it. We kept saying, how bad could it be in the beginning? We didn't understand. And so he went to program 1 day since January 25th, 2020. So that is sad to think that he came home, and he's been home ever since. And we probably, for the first few months, we weren't really sure what would happen. And so we were at home, and thankfully one of our adult daughters decided to leave Brooklyn and move closer to us. Actually, she and her husband stayed upstairs in our house, and they helped with their brother. They wanted to be there in case something happened, because they were concerned that, if either my husband or I got sick, that we couldn't care for our son. And now they live in Minneapolis, and so each weekend they come down to help, and our daughter will read to him and take him for rides and take him walking. She wears a mask. Our son is unable to, so that's been a real bonus to have them so close.
If he had a mask, he would just rip it off.
Yeah, we don't do masks. So the only outings that we really do are Mayo Clinic. That's our big excitement, to go to Mayo Clinic appointments, and we usually go Rochester and Redwood appointments. About probably 4 months into the pandemic, I think, is when ProAct started setting up Zoom classes. And at the beginning I thought, because Christopher doesn't attend real well to a computer. He does understand computers, he likes to play on computers, but I wasn't sure how well he would attend to it. So I signed him up, and I signed up for classes that I thought would interest him, which were music involved. And kind of surprised me that one was a move and groove class, and literally it was me exercising and Christopher doing, pacing through our house. He's a pacer, and so that was nice that I was able to move for the hour and still keep Christopher involved, and he was happy to listen to the music. And and we also do a sing-along one where people are they pick a song, and that music goes, and the words are there. Many of the clients of the ProAct Red Wing and ProAct Egan are able to read, so they can read the words and sing along, which amazes me to see all of this. Realize that when our son was going to ProAct Zumbrota, we didn't get to see any of it. We would put him on a bus, and he would go off to Zumbrota, and then he'd come home from the bus. We didn't see the other clients. We didn't see any of the parents. We didn't get to obviously see the inside of people's homes. We didn't get to see the other classmates of Christopher's. And so the Zoom has allowed us to, but we get to see into your homes, and we get to see all of you. And what's fascinating is many of the clients are able to function very high, and they are able to do things on their, pretty much on their own. They can select songs, they can type in songs that they want. Others function similar to Christopher, and I watch the interaction with either their helpers or their parents, and it just makes you aware that you're not alone is the biggest part. And for somebody who is going through a pandemic, we're all going through the pandemic, to not have that alone feeling is pretty impactful. So I now do Monday through Friday. He's for 1 hour, and we do a Zoom, and it's always music related. It kind of gives us a reason to, we know at 1 o'clock we're going to start to do something with him, and either my husband or I will sit with him. He now knows the routine. He knows he can't have a toy. He will sit and attend to the computer. He's nonverbal. He doesn't select things, but I select songs that I know that he will enjoy. And I find it fascinating to see the same clients are in the same class over and over. So you get to see, there's Jordan, and Jordan is picking out the songs that he, loves. And there's Randy, who, just has the best song choices imaginable. And the personalities of the other Zoom clients is fascinating. And the other wonderful thing that I see is the people who are managing the classes, the teachers, Danielle and Kathy and Asia and Lori are the 4 that we normally see. Just incredibly kind. I watch as a client is struggling to figure out which song, and perhaps not being able to verbally tell them. They know the people so well that they are able to go in and help the person get the song out, or they, bring up some different things. It's just the kindness that I see from the teachers that warms my heart. And 3 of these people are familiar from, they were frequently on the bus coming to pick up my son. And so I know their faces. I also know them from around Red Wing, that I've seen them out and about before the pandemic. And the same thing with the Red Wing clients. I see them and I think, I've seen this man at Target. I've seen this, woman, when I've been out shopping or something. So it's really, in that way, it makes you feel less alone. I don't think he recognizes the other clients. And typically in these classes, we only see the clients at the very beginning of the class. And then you get the words to the music. And that's the main thing that's on the screen. When he does see the clients, I don't think there's a recognition there. But I do hear that when they tend to select the same song. And Christopher, I definitely select the same songs. He won't always sing along during the class. But afterwards, he gets up and he starts doing his pacing, and he sings those songs, which always amazes me, because some of them are Britney Spears songs, ones that I have never played for him. And suddenly he's singing, and he's nonverbal, so the words are not there. It's more of the melody that he's humming. And that surprised me, that he actually is retaining that kind of stuff, those songs. Elvis Presley is a big one man. Always picks Elvis Presley, and I just think, wow, those are not song choices I would make, except for the Zoom class making them. Another nice thing that I really like about, and we do it for only an hour, is I know that he has to attend for that hour, and that the attending to a computer, it's a skill to be able to sit there and focus. And that's something that I'm glad we're not losing. And that's why, I just signed up for classes again for him. When you work so hard to get the skills and you lose them, that is a sad loss. So I'm glad to be able to keep some of these skills, such as attending. Hopefully right now he's requesting songs from his father, but
he's asking me to clap and to rub his hands as slowly as we can. Rub, rub, rub as quickly as we can. Goofy boy. Rub those fingers as slowly as we can. Rub as quickly as we can.
Funny. You're funny.
Oh.
No.
Pound.
And that's kind of how I wish we could get him to request when it's time for him to request. We could never do it. But he just finished his Zoom class about a half hour ago, and now, or about 45 minutes ago. And that he becomes a little bit more verbal, requesting things. He's a little bit more engaged with me or my husband. It's like some switch goes on, and he knows now it's my time. I can, they're paying attention to me. They're not doing the laundry. They're not, cooking. They're actually paying attention, and I can request things. So what's nice is I can get my husband to be involved in the Zoom classes, and literally I'll go for, my mental health walk, and I will say to my husband, okay, I've got it all open up to the correct email, and you just have to click on this, and then he'll sit and do the class with Christopher. So I'm glad for him too, to be able to see that engagement of our son with, the class, the music, because it encourages him to do this kind of stuff.
Clap.
It keeps our sanity a little bit, tiny bit.
Clap.
For the past year, it's been 24/7, and again, we're thankful we have our one daughter that comes down. It's also heartbreaking. The other daughter lives in Florida, and we do Zoom calls. We're on Zoom calls with her. And, we see our grandson that way, but he's only 2, so there's that lack of comprehension. It's a little like seeing, he sees his uncle. That's the other fear that I have, is that our grandson won't understand this. And so Zoom has helped with that, being able to, see Christopher behave and see him walking around while, we show our grandson, and hoping that when the pandemic is over, he won't find his uncle so strange.
As quickly as we can. That's right.
He's like, he's as happy as, because he's got both parents, one to lay against and the other one to get him to,
The other one to rub his feet. We go to watch a movie at night, and he just sits down, turns sideways, and assumes position.
Yeah.
His head in his mother's lap, his feet in his father's lap, and then he'll say, rub those feet.
So funny. You were so
That's
funny.
right. You're such a lucky
No, the
boy.
pandemic, in some ways it's been good. Other ways, it's been obviously difficult. But even that, my husband and I take turns. One of us will go skiing at Welch, and the other one stays home. And knowing that there's one thing that, we know 1 o'clock, ProAct Zoom, there's something that makes the day kind of flow. So that helps. And even Christopher, because of his different medications, he's unfortunately been sleeping excessively or not sleeping at all. His sleep is very disturbed. So if he could, he would sleep sometimes till 3 in the afternoon. But because we have that 1 o'clock Zoom, I usually try to drag him, by the ankles out of bed at 11:30 in the morning. We've already medicated. We can do that in the sleep. But we get him dressed, and he has something to attend, even if it is sitting on his couch with a screen in front of him. He has a schedule, and the Zoom has helped with that. So I was excited to see they have a new Zoom schedule too, and nice offerings. And I signed up for one class for him, but there's another class that I'm looking at and wondering how it's called Friendship, and I thought, okay, the other clients, especially the ones that you start to get to know and you just watch them, and just the nicest young adults. In general, they're young adults, or some are older, but impressive people, kind. So I'm pleased. When it's weekends and we have nothing on those, it's sort of like, wow, you do realize that kind of made our day into a certain flow. Whether it be I feed him, I make sure that he's been fed before the Zoom class, and then he has a snack after the Zoom class. So probably the most, is the clients, the warmth and niceness of them, and also the people who are teaching it. I've just been so impressed with how consistently kind they are to the clients. One man who always asks Kathy about swimming, and obviously Kathy must have taken him swimming in the past. She doesn't blink. She just says, we're gonna, one day, we're not gonna go swimming today, but one day we're gonna go swimming again. And I just think, every single class, it's the same question. Kathy, swimming? And, she answers, and I think, this is going to be my son's life someday. This is going to be, when my husband and I are no longer able to do this, these are the type of people who are going to be taking care of him. And so I'm learning that we have, we picked the right states to retire to, Minnesota. Incredibly kind people. This is usually what he does constantly. He plays with the toys. So. He's like, I'm done. I've been doing this for. Yeah, no, it forces, because I know that I've heard some of the stories from Zumbrota ProAct is, what does he enjoy doing? Because remember, I'm not there except, my husband and I go for maybe every 4 months, we go to a meeting and we kind of get to see, but not really.
Although one day I was driving by on my way to Rochester, so I popped in unannounced, walked to the back room, and there he was laying in a beanbag with one of the staff going, rub, rub. And he was like Homer Simpson gurgling a Duff's beer, going, as she rubbed his feet.
Yeah. So it's just, you get to see, it's nice to see that, we're going to go back to that. I know we're going to be returning to that some point. And we're fortunate that my husband and I are young enough to still kind of do this, because I do look at older parents who, struggle with this. And someday we're going to go back to a normalcy. And I appreciate that all these, and I especially appreciate that the Zoom classes allow ProAct employees, more of them, to be employed. They're not all not employed because of the ability to still be able to have Zoom classes. One of the things that Christopher enjoyed doing was standing over the shoulder of one of the clients who loves playing spin the wheel, like the Jeopardy type thing. He just likes to push it in. And I remember thinking, I bet Christopher would enjoy pushing, the button himself, but he just would stand behind this client watching, and that client's on one of the Zoom ones. And I keep wondering if Christopher understands that this is, I don't know if he understands that is that guy that always would push the computer to make the Jeopardy spin going.
He only saw the back of his head.
Yeah, he probably only saw the back of his head, but now he's seeing the front of his head. But so you do see those clients, or you go, when we used to go to dances and things, you would see the clients then. So now suddenly I'm seeing clients, in their homes. There's one that just warms my heart. The dad is Tim. The daughter is, I wrote it down. The daughter is, I think, Shelley. And Shelley appears to be nonverbal too. And all you see is Shelley sitting, and then you see her holding her dad's hand. And the dad is off camera, but he's always the one that asks for the different songs, has great songs to ask for. I love that he really picks interesting songs. And Shelley the whole time is either looking at the computer or looking at her dad, and just so happy to be having this kind of attention paid to her. So that warms my heart. Shannon, who is able to really clearly pick out the songs that she loves, and it takes her a little while to get them out, but boy, does she make it clear. Eden, who, again, when they start to speak, their picture pops up, and so you see them come out with the song that they want to have, and interesting choices. So it's been endearing to watch it.
Since Christopher's not vaccinated, basically we go nowhere.
No, we do online ordering, and so our big thing is to go out and have food put in the back of our vehicle. I do a Zoom meetings with some friends, and so 3 times a week I'm in different Zoom, and that's been really nice. I also do Zoom for my son's extra chromosome, which is called Duke 15Q, and we get together twice a month just to discuss how people are doing with this, because it's throughout the world, and so the impact. It helps that there's 2 of us. And so, definitely we bounce them back and forth between us. And one of us tries to, and, when it was incredibly cold, and you didn't really, even to get in the car wasn't good to do. And we have an upstairs that we can go up to and kind of we give each other a chance to get away, because it does get really old, especially when he hasn't slept the night before, and then you are just, incredibly tired. I don't know how single parents do it. I look at that and my heart hurts for them.
Because some nights he'll just bounce around the room the entire night. Might lay down for 5 seconds, pops up, bounces around the room. Then may start at 8:30 at night and continues until 7 the next morning when we decide to open the door. You know, I sleep with him at night. Open the door and we come out and kick off the day, and he hasn't slept a wink. And that sometimes happens 2, occasionally 3 nights in a row. And by the the 4th day that the sun comes up, you're pretty beat.
So we're kind of excited at the thought of seeing the ProAct bus pull up. You know, it's like, how fast can we get Christopher back on the ProAct bus? And, you know, don't let the door hit you on the butt on the way out is our attitude. Yeah, that would be a nice change.
And he is happy here. He is. He seldom shows signs of being bored. When he wants something, he'll just start singing, Bob the Builder, yes we can. And we pop on YouTube and Bob the Builder.
You hear him in the background?
That's our go-to panacea.
Yeah. This is Christopher's regular, and this is, you know, one of the things that he does all day long is he likes to
12 hours in a row sometimes.
He likes to pace. He no longer has 2 steps to fall down and 2 steps to go up. But yeah, he is, you know, he walks. He's been walking since 4.5, you know. So but that's how he spends his day, is doing this pacing and singing Bob the Builder. And that's what, after we've done some of the ProAct Zoom classes, he will actually start to sing, you know, bits and pieces of the songs that have been selected. So that's always interesting that he's, the pandemic has taught us a lot, but it's also, again, we are in a wonderful position that we have 2 of us, that he is in general good health, and we haven't had to do a lot of medical things for him. I was an elementary music teacher. That's went to Winona State and really wanted to be overseas. So I taught a few years in the United States and then got hired to teach in Department of Defense dependent schools. And I was sent to Iceland, where I met my husband, and he was a Marine posted there. So we married a year later in Winona, and so Marine Corps for many years. And then I left teaching music when we started having children. Always planned to go back to it. So every night I play the piano for Christopher for at least 30 minutes. I play the piano and, you know, certain songs that he loves, and he'll run and pace around, play the guitar for him. Both of our daughters are very musical, and they'll sing to him and play guitar and things. So yeah, it's our way of communicating with him through music. Who would have guessed it would help so much with our son? I mean, you know, I did it K through 12 music education at Winona State, and then you know, I've been using the music because of our son. So
he's nonverbal, but he uses sing-song language. Like he'll say sometimes on the toilet, or 8 o'clock at night. If I haven't started his shower routine, he'll initiate sometimes. Bum bum bum. He'll sing taps.
Yeah.
He'll initiate. It's one of the rare times that he initiates communication, and he does it typically through song.
Yeah.
Not words, but song.
When he was a year old, I didn't know why. I mean, I just always sang because I had 2 older daughters. You know, I was constantly with him. I found music was soothing, but he always had his hand on my throat. And it wasn't until he was probably a year old I realized it was the vibration, that he loved the vibration of my throat. He would gently keep it there. And, you know, he did that until I couldn't carry it. 4 or 5, I finally had to quit because my back. But always the hand with the vibration. The first time we heard him make any noise, he was about 3 years old. And I had just turned off a CD that was, you know, kids music, and he repeated it almost, you know, word for word he was saying, and the words were very clear. My mother was with me, we both my mom and I cried to know that he was able, and I always had hoped that he would eventually speak, but it wasn't to be.
One thing about his musicality that absolutely surprised me, the only music I knew was that of a machine gun, and I cannot carry a tune. And so I would sing a fractured song, and he would sing it back beautifully, fixing the fractured pieces. That surprised me.
That's how we used it, music communication. And then we still do things like I have a box of books here, and I use, I'm sure every parent has seen this kind of stuff, the PECs. So you pick the book, you give it to me, and these are all familiar books that, so I sing the book to him, and that also keeps up his ability to communicate, with us, even in a civil
Or we
way.
put two books up in front of him and we ask, what's next? 5 or 10 times. And sometimes he'll sing the song of that book. And then that's the book he selected.
You just smother them with music. I mean, my son his disability is Duke 15q, which is IDIC 15. He has an extra piece of the 15th chromosome. They're frequently nonverbal. And we didn't learn about his chromosome until he was a year old. But, we always knew that communication was going to be a tough one for him. So we just made it music, and it makes it less frustrating for him for life. When he was younger, if I would sing a song that meant, imagine if somebody comes to you and says, blah, 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 and you don't understand. And yet if you hear the same song that is meaning we're going to get in the car and we're going to go somewhere. We're going to go take a bath. We're going to brush your teeth. We're going to take medicine. We're going to eat. You're going to go sit on the toilet. You're going to, whatever it is. And so we would have just a one-line song that I would sing, and then I would get it shorter, and eventually you could just use the word. So instead of saying in the toilet, it would eventually become toilet. And he now knows he goes to the bathroom, and he knows that I'm going to, change his diaper, put him on the toilet, whatever. Let's go riding in the car. Let's go riding in the car becomes car. And he knows, head to the garage door.
He'll sit up and he'll walk to the door and stand at the back door when he hears, let's go riding in the car.
So just a simple one-line song, and then you can change it to just one word if you want to. Over 5 years, you can get rid of the songs. So that's what we've done with him, and it's really been beneficial. It's that constant, and reinforcements, and
it's starting with a baby and never advancing beyond babyhood.
Yeah.
He's our 29-year-old, 2-year-old baby.
Here in Red Wing, Goodhue County are excellent. They've offered him placement twice. We turned it down. We weren't ready, and we're still not quite ready.
Well, as long as we can care for him, he'll stay with us. At the point at which he would be better in a facility, then he'll go to a facility. But he still is perfectly fine here with us.
And during a pandemic is not necessarily the time when you want to make those kind of major changes. So, again, we're in a good position. We're young enough to be able to manage it. This has been it's been tough on the special needs community. And again, we've lived many other places. So I look at what we're doing in America, and I think we're still so much better off than so many other places. So I can't complain. I can't say this is horrible, because I've seen tougher situations, and I think, no, we're fine. We're good. At the St. Paul Gillette's clinic, they have music therapists, and that's on Facebook. And once a week, it's live for 30 minutes. And I usually will show Christopher that either live or recorded. We go back. And he does seem to enjoy it. The music is quite all over the place, from small children to, adults. But that's been really nice. And that's, I'd love to see ProAct, if God forbid this continues, is to do something like that with a music therapist, or even, an occupational therapist who, Christopher used to have occupational therapy at ProAct Zumbrota. Well, obviously he's not having that anymore. Just to have some recorded things that the therapist, physical, occupational, and speech therapist could present as activities that you could do to keep your child from, feeding themselves, from using the toilet, from, putting the car seat, on, whatever it is, and having little clips of it, which would also help to keep these people gainfully employed. Those kind of links that we can get, and if ProAct could offer that type of thing would be wonderful. There he is. Sit on my mother. Right?
Christopher's been more animated this hour. He likes being the star.
Yeah.
As long as, whenever we would lose one personal care attendant, and especially a long-term one, and we'd think, oh, he'll be so sad. Well, 5 minutes later, when the next girl would walk in, he would just immediately throw his allegiance completely to the new girl, and he was good.
Well, and they weren't always girls. We've had lots of guys too, but basically Christopher is one of those, love the one you're with,
Right.
just-
And actually that has given his parents some peace of mind, because we used to be when we were young starting out with this, we were very concerned. Well, we knew we could do it. Our major concern was, how will our son be once we're gone? But now, with so much experience of seeing the kinds of people who are attracted to care for kids like Christopher, we have total, complete peace of mind that he's going to have an excellent rest of his life after we're gone.
We chose the right place to retire to. We are not having helpers come into the house either for fear of COVID. So yeah, that's been, and then that's another part of the puzzle that we look at, is to try to find staff when this is all over and try to get back,
A year ago, we did have a couple of DCAs. One had been with us for almost 6 years, but because there is no vaccine and she was working her primary job in nursing homes all over the South Metro area, we just couldn't have anybody coming and going into the house because he has a weakened immune system. And so if he got the virus, it would be hard for him to survive.
Yeah. So we're all going to have to learn to rebuild when this is all over.
At first, I thought it kind of strange that he would have to drive so far away to go to program all day, but he enjoyed so much the big glass window on the bus, driving through the farmland, watching the cows, that the bus trip itself, coming and going, was a major part of his enjoyment of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to get out of Red Wing and right into farm country right away.
And Minnesota
His face is plastered against the passenger window. Look at the cows in the fields.
Thankfully, we're not empty nesters. We have him. We have, as I can't think of the actor that did it, but our special purpose. Who was that?
Steve Martin.
Steve Martin. Special purpose. Well, our special purpose is Christopher. So it has kept us going during this pandemic too. You can't sit there and think, I can't do anymore. There is never a dull moment.
Christopher goes down at 8 o'clock. By 8:30, I'm right there with him. I used to read for like 2 hours at night, and then it was 30 minutes, then 3 pages, and now I look at the book, I do about 3 paragraphs, and I'm done.
Yeah.
Sleep like $1,000,000 as long as he's asleep. And that actually is one of the ways to get through an experience like this. Try very hard to get a good night's sleep. Because if you start the morning, sun comes up and you've had a good night's sleep, you can go a full day at full power and giving him all that he needs, as long as at the end of it, you get another good night's sleep to start the clock.
Yeah.
But a good solid 8, totally good for the next day.
Yeah, you think that's funny?